All right, hello. So let's talk about virtual reality and also mediated reality. Um, I apologize, I'm going to be looking down a little bit because there are a few definitions that I just want to read word for word to be able to best explain exactly what we're dealing with here. So first, I want to actually define just mediated and virtual reality as a whole, and then kind of talk about the two of them separately so that we can better understand virtual reality. So right from our book, and I'm just going to take these from our good old technology book that I read all the time. It says, mediated and virtual reality systems have varied meanings, but at their core, they are computer-mediated systems that use data to manipulate or interact with the user's sensory environment, whether visual, auditory, haptic, which means touch, or otherwise. So pretty much any way in which the reality is somewhat altered falls under one of these categories. So real quick, defining augmented or mediated reality, that is where something in our actual reality is simply, well, augmented or enhanced. Okay, so the example that I personally came up with was Iron Man. Right here, like his mask. If I were to put this on, okay, if you've seen Iron Man, you can see that it doesn't actually change what he's seeing, but it only enhances it with different sort of, I guess, user interfaces, different sort of enhancements to the environment around him. The example that the book gave is with apps on your phone that you can point up at the stars and it'll tell you exactly what constellations you're looking at, even if you might not actually be able to see them. And it does that using different technologies, simply like GPS technology. So jumping into what virtual reality is, and the way that this is different from augmented or enhanced reality, is it actually replaces your current reality with a virtual one or a new one. There was a scientist in here that I thought was, some of the points he made was really cool. Frederick Brooks, I guess I don't know if he's a scientist, but this guy, okay, that is obviously very learned in the virtual reality, said that there are 4 technologies. He actually named 8 technologies, but there's 4 technologies that are crucial for VR, and those are, and I'm just going to read these here real quick. It says the visual and oral and haptic displays that immerse the user in the virtual world and that block out contradictory sensory impressions from the rest of the world. So this is going to be like your Oculus Rift, the actual goggles that you put on. The graphics rendering system that generates at 20 to 30 frames per second the ever-changing images. That one's kind of self-explanatory, right? The tracking system that continually reports the positions and orientation. Obviously that's important because it needs to know kind of where you're looking, or if it involves movement, what you're doing, to be able to send that information then to the system to be able to just make it more immersive. And then the last thing is the database construction and maintenance system for building and maintaining detailed and realistic models of the world. Computer science, algorithms, confusing stuff, right? That's important. And then just a quick other note for auxiliary technologies that are important but maybe not so crucial is the synthesized sound. Super cool, maybe not the most important, but obviously it's going to make the virtual reality even more real, I guess you can say. Display of synthesized forces and other haptic sensations. Devices such as tracked gloves with push buttons, like your Wii remotes, that kind of thing, right? And then interaction techniques that substitute for real interactions possible with the physical world. So that is kind of virtual reality in a nutshell, what it is, what's important, and kind of how it works. Virtual reality is really cool. I think it's really fun. I love playing on the Oculus Rift and different things like that. And you see all kinds of things nowadays with people using virtual reality, and that it's actually real. And most people think of it as just gaming, and it talks about that in this book, because that's kind of everyone's first thought, but it actually is used for a lot of other things. One example that it gives in the book, and that I have personal experience with, is TVs and movies. I know that on the Oculus Rift there is a app or something that you can use that it actually puts you basically in a movie theater, and it honestly looks like you are in a movie theater and you can watch a movie, and it feels really, really cool. And I mean, that same app, you can like watch a movie on the moon, and I mean, it's just fun, and obviously has a lot of other practical uses as well. So that is going to sum it up. This is way over the 2-minute requirement, so we're going to call this good. All right.